They were on FS1. What was the number, Joe?
I know it was low. Let me see.
I know. I read Rampage is the lowest number ever.
Yeah. Well, it says it was up from the previous FS1 episode, but it was 902,000.
Yeah, there was they got preempted for the what do you call it? The Pac-10. No, the Pac-10 championship. Yeah, on Fox. So, all right. So opens up with the ooze. The Bloodline comes out. Jay spoke first and said the Bloodline was down in your city. So the Bloodline leveled up at War Games and started to credit the Usos for showing in the war. Or Sammy. Then Sammy said the Bloodline leveled up again at War Games and started to credit the Usos for showing in the War Games match. And Jimmy interrupted and said they weren't going to do this in the back and called him the MVP of the match. He said the crowd were chanting Sammy Uso, and they started those chants in the building. And then Jay piped up and said he doubted him for the. Oh wait, hang on a minute. Did I miss something here? No, okay. Jay piped up because I thought I missed this thing on Monday. Jay piped up and said he doubted him for a long time. He didn't like him, but when he made the decision,
no, it's that both shows opened up the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The family earned his respect ASAP, and it's because of him they won the match at War Games. Jimmy told me he had one question: "How you feeling?" Sammy said he was feeling pretty freaking oozy, and the crowd started chanting along. Sammy asked if they were doing it, and the three of them did a group handshake before a hug, and then the Brawling Brutes interrupted. And Sheamus told me he hates kicking the crap out of a fellow ginger, but he's had enough talking. That was actually a pretty funny line, I thought. He said it was fight night. It's time to go. So it's Sammy versus Sheamus. And he sent Sammy to the floor and sent the barricade, and then the Brutes and the Bloodline started confronting each other on the floor. Basically, Sheamus bounces him around for a while, and then Sammy lined him up for a hell of a kick, but Sheamus captured his leg and delivered white noise for a near fall. Then both men crawled to their feet. And chaos broke out at ringside again, and Sheamus interrupted another attempt at the Helluva Kick with a knee strike. And then he picked up Sheamus, but Jey Uso super kicked Sheamus on a good distraction there, and Sammy completed a sunset flip and got the win. After the match, the Bloodline celebrated. We got a tape vignette from Legado del Fantasma, and he said he'd make sure the World Cup tournament comes home to their superior organization. He said it will shed the light on Mexico and the craft of lucha libre. And Zelina Vega added that this will give the Emperor Santos a first-class ticket to the Intercontinental Championship. And with that championship, he will get a position of power in WWE. What do you think of this?
I thought the opening segment was good. The in-ring was good. I thought the match was really good. Sheamus has really been – he doesn't have bad matches anymore, neither does Sammy. And obviously they swerved us again because Jay helped Zayn, so there's no breakup right now.
Right, yeah. It's, as usual, their stuff was good, and I did really enjoy the Sammy-Sheamus match. You know, Sheamus has always been good, but it's good to see him get, more fan recognition for his work recently.
Yeah, and that was a funny line when Sheamus goes, I hate to beat the out of a fellow ginger. Yeah.
Right. So Mega Moran interviewed Kofi backstage, and Kofi announced that he would be the first declared entrant to the Rumble. He was then asked about the finals of the World Cup, and he said he couldn't pick against Ricochet. And Kaiser and Vinci of Imperium walked up and told Kofi spends more time online than he does in the ring. That was a funny line, I thought. Kofi said Woods wasn't there tonight, but he'd be happy to challenge one of them to a singles match. And Gunther then stepped in out of frame and said Kofi would face him. They showed Bray backstage and said they thinks people forget that we used to be animals. Snakes eat rats, and no one sees it as an act of violence. So we don't dare talk about the fact that some people must die for others to live. He again claimed he wasn't the one who hurt LA Knight, but I heard you and how you rejoiced. Bray said that was very primal of us. He then said if he had been the one, we would know because there would be none of him left. Every week I talk about the Bray Wyatt talks in circles. Would you describe that as talking in circles?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and what did you think of the Kofi thing with Imperium? I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Bray Wyatt thing.
Backstage, Madcap Moss spoke to Emma on the interview set. She said a lot has changed in 5 years and she's unsure of herself. Moss told her not to forget who she was and called her a pioneer. He said the women's revolution doesn't happen without her, and because of her, the competition is tough now. Moss told her she belongs there and wished her luck, and she called him Riddick and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Emma then made her ring entrance, and Shayna versus Emma. And neither woman had a second ring size.
He mega put her over like she was this big deal, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It never translated on the main shows, but in NXT, it was her and Paige were like the top two women. The first ones they really spotlighted like that,
Well, then you got to imagine that half that crowd didn't watch NXT and didn't know what it was talking about, and she's not positioned as such in WWE at the moment.
Right, and at that time, it was only on the network too, so it wasn't on TV yet. So even less people.
Right. So Shayna beats them in 4 minutes and 9 seconds with a Karafuda clutch. And afterwards, Shayna continued the attack, but Shotzi ran for the save, and Shayna took control and was going to stop her elbow, but Raquel Rodriguez ran down and interrupted again. And it's basically three baby faces regrouped and forced the one heel out.
Right.
So what did you think of that?
Well, made Baszler look good after cause she started off great. Then she was a vampire. Then she was sucking blood. Then she was Nia Jax's partner, and they really made her look bad. Mm-hmm. And now she looks like a total badass.
Wait, she was a vampire?
Yeah, remember when she had the teeth?
I don't remember that for some reason.
Yeah, she was biting and drawing blood. Yeah, I guess it was supposed to make her look more vicious or whatever. But yeah, they did it a couple times.
Yeah, she had like fangs.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anyways, and so basically, she destroyed Emma, which made her look like a badass. Shotzi hit the ring. She destroyed Shotzi. So she came up looking like a badass. Shotzi looked dumb. Emma looked dumb. Raquel Rodriguez looked dumb. So really, Shotzi, to me, the only person got over was Baszler, which is okay with me because that's the one I like the most.
Yeah.
And did they show that? Did you see that video package they had
for the Lacey Evans? Yeah, the idea she was a former Marine, headed back to basic training.
Right.
Yeah. And there wasn't a clear indication yet if she returns as babyface or heel, but the tone of the narrator indicated heel to me personally. So, was it good?
I just think they don't know what. Well, it's good because she's doing cool, with other Marines, and she's dressed up like like you would if you were training. It's legit, but they've done so much with her. Like she's babyface, and she was healed, and she was kind of like a redneck GOP redneck. Right. And she was, my dad was really with me. Like
she was with Flair.
They don't know what to do with this chick.
She was with Flair for like a minute, right? Remember that during the pandemic?
Right.
Yeah.
So they haven't known what to do with her. So yeah, I'm not interested or invested.
Kofi comes out for his match and started dancing like Alex Wright. Right. And they said the Imperium looked like a bunch of Alex Wrongs.
Right.
So it was like, I guess they had to get that line in there. So, so Gunther versus Kofi, and Gunther's beating him up. Big man, little man match, basically. The Kofi attempted a springboard move out of the corner. Gunther chopped him out of the sky. That was a good spot. Gunther followed up with a German suplex for near fall, and he showed some frustration, applied a Boston Crab. Kofi got to the ropes, but Gunther modified the hold into an SDF, and after a series of reversals, Gunther landed a shotgun dropkick and a power bomb for a near fall. Kofi landed a big slap to the chest, but Gunther shrugged it off and scooped up Kofi for an Emerald Flosion that he's calling the Last Symphony for the win. So whatever that move was the Emerald Flosion.
You put a guy on your shoulder and then you drop him down on the side. I don't know. Dreamer did it, and I think Kabashi was where it came from or something. Yeah. I've seen it. A lot of guys have used it.
What'd you think?
Yeah, that's a new finish. Yeah, I've seen it a million times. That's a new finish which is cool, which adds to his power bomb, splash lariat thing. And of course, Strowman came out. He got involved. So obviously Gunther and Strowman are next. This was a good match.
Right. So backstage, Sami Zayn said he was going to get some dim. The Usos insisted that Solo go with him to offer him some protection since he's been making enemies. And Solo and Sami left, and Jimmy asked Jay if he ever talked to Sami about lying to his face. And Jay said Roman told him that he saw what he needed to see in Sami's eyes, and they got the W War Games, so it was cool. Sheamus attacked him from off screen with a shillelagh and then took them both out. He said he and McIntyre would see them later. So that was interesting. Damage Control, I guess they're this show's version of the female bloodline because they're on every show. Bayley had a microphone and criticized a fan for wearing a dumb hat. She said they didn't want to be in Buffalo, but apparently SmackDown needed ratings, and they knew they could count on Damage Control. Bayley said they were in the War Games match for combined 95 minutes and asked if the crowd knew what that meant for their bodies. Was that true? 95 minutes? Oh, if you add them all up, okay. She criticized Becky for being in the match for a cup of coffee, and then Bayley turned her attention to the SmackDown roster, said none of them wanted to step up to Damage Control. And Q Liv Morgan said it seemed like Bayley had a problem with it. But we told Jared Avia that he'd apologize in next week's mailbag for insisting that Liv Morgan was turning heel based on that one line in the promo that time, right?
Right.
Yeah. Is she a heel yet?
No, she is not a heel yet.
Yeah. The brawl started in the ring, and a surprise entrance from Tegan Nox interrupted the numbers, and she brawled with Damage Control, but was overwhelmed by the numbers, and Liv returned and shattered a kendo stick on Damage Control, and Tegan landed the shiniest wizard on Bayley, send them scattering. So Tegan Nox is back with Liv and, whatever.
Ooh.
I know. Well, Tegan Knox, I mean, she's, I don't know. They need to, I mean, they have tons of girls down there.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well,
if
they
some
get
of
all
these
these girls from
bring
NXT that
right.
they were fans of, and they're not that good.
Right.
What do you think of this, Joe?
I don't know much about Tegan Knox, but it's like you said, Hunter. He has that loyalty to his NXT crew and who he was bringing up, and didn't really get a fair shake. So here's another one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from there, including the women, that to me are not over at all.
I saw they're bringing Eric Young in too, and he was
really?
he was down in NXT. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like
they come out. Bailey, like I said, is dragged down by this crickets inside of a tumbleweed with the Mike Pence, Melania Trump, Joe Feeney charisma, which is absolutely none.
Zero.
I'm going to make a point here too. You bury this group way worse than I do, and I don't
like them.
And I'm the one that gets heat because I said one sentence. I was
they're not entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. So when me and Ben did the show, right?
Right.
Ben asked me. He says, "Do you think that
the Japanese girl?
What's her name? Dakota Kai should be on the main roster?" And my answer was like, "Not really." Right. So Sports Keeda and all these sites, one says Disco Inferno thinks that Dakota Kai should be fired.
Right.
Okay. So all right. So everybody so I got all this hate stuff and everything, and I'm like, so I want to clarify this. Okay. Should she be fired? No. But if these girls are coming up from NXT and after months and months they're not getting over, send them back down and bring more up.
Right.
It's like that's the beauty of having the performance center is if you have 100 and something talent down there that if the people on the main roster aren't getting over, just take them out and try another one.
Right. And here's my question, and I'm going to pose it to you and Joe. Joe.
Yes.
Has Dakota Kai or Io Sky done anything, just anything, that has interested you or that you thought, wow, that was bomb?
No, I mean, they can work, obviously, but have they left an impression that stood out to me? No.
How about you, D.I.?
No, but hopefully we can put
Then I rest my case.
Yeah, hopefully Sports Keeda will have a thing says Joe Feeney is not impressed with damage.
Right, they should be fired, right, and never hired anywhere else.
So next, Cross video airs, and he had tarot cards that she flipped over. Scarlett had tarot cards, and he talked
which I think is a great idea. We talked about that the other day. I'm not saying it's my idea, but I thought that they should be doing that, and I'm glad they are.
Yeah, Cross talked about how the universe is chaos and he had to teach McIntyre and Moss about the violence of the storm. And Scarlett unveiled a tarot card with Rey Mysterio on it, indicating him as Cross's next target. That should be good because we mentioned last week that Cross looks more menacing when he's wrestling smaller guys.
Right.
So you can throw him around.
That's why he got over in Mexico.
Right. His gimmick is more of a guy that sneak attacks you from behind.
Plus,
picks on smaller guys and stuff.
Here's a fact that most people don't know about that you and I do.
Mm-hmm.
She's Romanian, and she's actually a gypsy. So it's in her bloodlines, this tarot stuff. You know what I'm saying?
She's from her parents. She's from like a family of gypsies.
Yeah, she's from a gypsy bloodline. Yeah.
Really?
Romanians, bro, gypsies are from Romania's infamous for gypsies.
Well, Romania is kind of like in that Transylvania thing too, and it's kind of like the vampire too. So it's kind of like the dark arts and stuff kind of.
Right.
So yeah. So another video.
Let me say this real quick, Di, before you continue, because this has to do with wrestling headlines and Sports Keeda and all that. So last week, Sports Keeda reported this.
Okay, I know I'm going to sound out of touch. What or who is Sports Keeda? I know you've told me before.
Is actually the Sports Illustrated. Am I right about that, Joe? We spoke. Sports Illustrated.
We spoke. Well, I spoke to their guys before. Remember, they wanted us to do something for their Christmas show last year. They're the biggest wrestling site in the world.
Indian guys.
Yeah.
Right.
So why are they getting this information wrong? Why are they? Isn't there? Don't people go to them for credibility?
Yes.
Well, these guys are. I think a bunch of Indians run this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is they use that.
Let me read you this.
Like, remember the other day, Joe, and you actually answered this. They were like, "Yeah, Konnan said." Remember, some guy.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. So the headline.
What was that about?
The headline here is "Nothing stands out." Wrestling veteran believes Charlotte Flair diminished major AEW stars' in-ring skills. I don't think this doesn't have anything to do with Charlotte, but during the latest episode of K100, Konnan discussed his thoughts on Saraya's overall performance and felt that her best matches have involved Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Adding to it, he also felt that one of the main reasons she received praise for her match was because the previous women's match between Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill did not fare well. And here's the quote. She benefited on this pay-per-view. She had a women's wrestling match that followed the Nyla Rose and the champion Jade Cargill match, which was horrible, terrible. But with Paige, I remember when they were first doing the Women's Revolution thing, she had a match with Charlotte and Sasha Banks in NXT that was very good, but after that, nothing stands out. And the quote's attributed to Konnan, except it's not Konnan, it's me. So that's what...
Right, and the funny part is when I read that, I was like, first of all, I didn't even see the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Wait, that was your quote?
Yeah, they quoted it as Konnan. And I responded and retweeted it on Twitter and all that. But yeah, they quoted it as Konnan. Konnan wasn't on.
But you never said it was you. You just said it wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, but I said Konnan wasn't even on that segment, because you weren't.
Right.
But, plus, I didn't even see that pay-per-view.
Well, plus two, they do a lot of computer-generated.
They aggregate or whatever. They aggregate.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll have they'll record. And AI will listen to the thing, and AI will print out what we said.
Okay.
So sometimes all the grammar's not right. It sounds like we're like it's written out like we're mumbling.
Right.
Like the sentences don't make a lot of sense sometimes. So it's kind of weird.
The computer's doing it.
Right. It's computer generated content. So
right. Yeah, but get your together. Sportskeeda and K100 demands a retraction as well. So.
Right. So Ricochet and Santos Escobar for the SmackDown World Cup. This is a good match. Ricochet, they went a long time. It's 21 minutes. Ricochet dropped Escobar in the corner, went up for the shooting star press, but Escobar got his knees up and covered it for a near fall. He then went for the Phantom Driver. Ricochet slipped up, and Escobar fired back with a Poison Rana for another close near fall. And Escobar picked up Ricochet and set him up on the top turnbuckle. But Ricochet turned it into a Poison Rana from the top, followed by a super kick and landed the 630 and got the win. I was surprised at this finish, to be honest with you.
So
I thought, but Ricochet, I don't know. Maybe they're going back to Ricochet and what's his name so he can beat him up again, So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought this was a great match. They both look like stars, especially Phantasma. And I just thought, wow. Ricochet hasn't not been treated well by WWE, and he's such a talented guy. I mean, he doesn't even do half the shit he can do. Ricochet's got so much he's got much more to offer, and I think he was a guy that, was an NXT star, right?
Yeah.
So they know who he is and what he's about, and it looked like they're going to let him go. Good for Trevor. And and I just feel Phantasma, well, he's finally getting his due, and he's going to be a star. So he didn't need the championship, even if he didn't win. So I'm glad they're pushing both.
Yeah. So that's been our SmackDown review.